Welcome back to my channel, Naturally Vanessa, and today we're going to talk about how I am leveling up my kitchen. Now, I share with you guys that I'm on a level up, elevated journey, right? Where I'm working on elevating every area of my life, and that is my physical health, my spiritual and mental health, that is my skin, my body, my style, like every area of my life. I'm trying to elevate, I'm trying to get it to this place where I am thriving, or I am like my ideal self in that area. So I'm taking you guys on this journey that has been in the works for years, because I've been working on health and whatnot for years, but I'm taking you on this journey with all the other areas that are being touched little by little. So today we're going to talk about how I'm leveling up my kitchen, one item or one area at a time. And I'm going to show you some swaps, some non-toxic swaps that I've made to make sure that my kitchen is as healthy as it can be, in that it's set up or created, or it functions in a way where it is in line with the overall health goals that I have for myself and my family. And so I'm going to share with you guys some of the swaps that I've made, some of the changes that I've made, and the reasons why. And here's one thing that I do want to say. A lot of times when we want to make changes, sometimes we don't do it in a way that's sustainable. We decide to just do everything like a big overhaul all at once, and then feels like, oh my gosh, like this is overwhelming, or this is getting expensive, or it just feels like it's just too much to be able to sustain and maintain. And that's just not the way that you want to go about doing it. Now, I'm going to show you some changes that I've made, and there's multiple areas in my life that I've made changes. But even when it comes to the kitchen changes, these were things that were like one by one, little by little. Some things I was able to do like, all at once. Like some areas I was able just to kind of like address all at once. And then there are areas that I've just been like, it's taken some time, because some of these changes require more money being spent. Some of these changes require you being done, with something, and now you've moved on from it. And instead of replacing it with the same thing, now you're choosing something better. That's like a better option. So I just want you to know that wherever you are in your journey, the goal is to see the why you want to make these changes, and to begin to take it step by step. But I never want you to feel overwhelmed, like you have to do it all at once, because that's just not sustainable, and it's just not realistic for the majority of people. So let's start with the first thing. So one of the first changes that I made had to do with cookware, and I'm going to show you some of the things that I have. But essentially, a lot of people have non-stick cookware because it's just so much easier to cook with non-stick. But non-stick cookware tends to use these chemicals, and these chemicals can be really dangerous, not only for the environment, but also for ourselves. And so the coating on non-stick cookware comes with these chemicals. They fall into a category, I believe that's called like PTFE, but there's different other chemicals that fall within that, like PFOA, PFOS, PFAS. And so essentially these are like man-made chemicals that can be released into the food, it can be released into the air, and essentially these chemicals can build up in your blood and your organs. And so I've gotten rid of all the non-stick cookware that I had previously, as well as any aluminum things that I still had from my mom. When it comes to pots and pans, I've pretty much switched over to, I do have some stainless steel, but I have these, which are ceramic cookware. Okay. Reportedly, ceramic cookware tends to be free from PFAS and heavy metals. So we're not worried about them leaching. We're not worried about chemicals leaching into the food when we're cooking them, especially with like high heat. And so these are ceramic cookware. There's two types of ceramic cookware. There's like 100% ceramic, and then there's like ceramic coated, which essentially is like metallic cookware or cast iron cookware that tends to be coated in the ceramic coating. But these are ceramic coated, and I'm going to give you some examples of what these are. So this is Caraway, and I have this as well as a pan from them. Their sets are beautiful. They come in so many different colors, but they tend to be on the pricier side, right? And so a lot of people who switch to non-toxic stuff love Caraway because of the colors and how they can beautify their kitchen. But but it does carry a little bit of a price tag, right? I also love Green Pan. So I have this set. I have multiple pieces, but I'm only showing you just a few of them just because of counter space. And so again, there are options out there. At the end of the day, I try to avoid aluminum, and I try to avoid general non-stick cookware that say nothing about whether or not they're PFOA free or PFAS free or whatnot. The other very popular one is cast irons. Please excuse my cast iron, but these things are so durable. They're also heavy. Oh my gosh. But a cast iron, and cast irons are awesome. What I love about cast irons is that they're affordable. They're very affordable, and you can use them on the stovetop or you can use them in the oven. And so it's just a great thing to make sure that you have. Definitely, if you don't own a cast iron, learn about caring for them, because caring for a cast iron can be almost like caring for a child. They don't follow the same rules that other like pots and pans do when it comes to cleaning. So another change that I made was this water purifier, right? It's when it comes to water. So I never realized that water could be so contaminated. And there's all sorts of chemicals and whatnot that could be in your city water. So tap water can have industrial or like agricultural contaminants that are linked to all sorts of things like neurotoxicity, changes in fetal development, fertility issues, cancer, like you name it. And there's been studies done of public water utilities nationwide, and they discovered that there's so many different, like at least like over 200 different contaminants in our water supplies. And so because water is something that we drink a lot of, I wanted to make sure that we had something that was as clean as it could be. Also, I wanted to be able to avoid unnecessary fluoride in my water. That's just a decision that I made for me and my family. And so I wanted something that would essentially filter out a lot of these if not most of these contaminants that I did not want in my water. With this system, I pretty much fill it up about twice a day because we drink a lot of water in this house. So between the four of us, so it's about like twice a day that I'll fill it up in the top container, and then it goes through the carbon filters, and there's also a fluoride filter in there, and then in the bottom chamber is where the cleaner water is, and then we just drink from there. I'm less worried when it comes to cooking. I do use my regular sink water when it comes to cooking because it's boiled up, and so I'm not worried about contaminants still remaining because they should be dead with the boiling. If you're interested in checking your city's water for contaminants, there's a website, the EWG's Tap Water Database, and you can literally put your zip code and they will tell you the total amount of contaminants or pollutants in your city's water supply. So definitely check it out. I'll try to include a link in the description. Okay, another swap was my cooking utensils. And can I just tell you how much I love this set? Like, I love this set because it just goes with the whole aesthetic of my house. And let me pull them out. These are silicone cookware. These are silicone cookware. This I've had for ages. You could see that it's clearly burnt because my husband burnt it. But the silicone ones, I mean, these are just beautiful. They also come in like different colors as well. Because I'm a neutral girl, my kitchen tends to be like, this is the aesthetic of my house. Browns and like creams and ivories, like wooden tones. And so this utensil set is just so pretty. And so this is what I use for cooking: silicone, wooden, and I do have a couple that are stainless steel. Okay, so next is swapping out plastic. I'm going to show you what I've swapped out plastics for. Okay, so I have glass containers, to put food in, like storage, to put food in the fridge. I have glass containers. Everything is like essentially glass containers, and then I have some extra ones that are in the dishwasher. And so I swapped over to glass because I did not want to use plastic because we don't want to be heating up plastic in the microwave. Okay. We also don't want to be putting hot food into plastic because, again, these chemicals can leach into the food and we don't want that. And we know the main concern with plastics when it comes to toxic chemicals is BPA, right? BPA is a known endocrine disruptor. It imitates or interferes with your body's natural hormones. And so we want to minimize our exposure to BPA. Okay. So when it comes to food containers, I swap to, like I showed you, to glass containers, and I have some others. So I use a lot of kind of like glass and like stainless steel in some cases. And even when it comes to, those like resealable, like Ziploc bags or whatnot, they're plastic. I don't even like put food in them to put in the freezer. I've been using these. These are silicone. And so when I make like extra waffles or there's certain things that need to go in the freezer, I just put them in here and then seal them up and then put them in the freezer. I believe these bags can also go in the microwave, even though I don't have anything that I warm up in the bags and I put in the microwave. I tend to put things in the bag, take them out the bag, and then put them on another plate. But they sell these in different sizes. See, I got this one, I got that one. They just pulled this out of the freezer. But yeah, they come in different sizes. This is like a grayish color. The other one was like a lighter one. And so I'll definitely link this as well. I'm going to throw this in there, parchment paper. So instead of using aluminum foil, because again, we talked about aluminum, we do not want anything leaching into the food. And so instead of using aluminum foil, I use parchment paper. And so usually when it comes to parchment paper, you want to go for one that is unbleached, okay? Unbleached parchment paper, but that's in place of aluminum foil. I want to talk really quickly about another swap is oils. And so instead of using inflammatory seed oils, I've swapped fully for either olive oil or avocado oil. So this is a swap that we made mainly just to make sure that we're getting like the healthy fats from oil, that we're avoiding unnecessary things. Also, I do use coconut oil, which I have stored in one of my cabinets in the cupboard. But so it's coconut oil, olive oil, and avocado oil. So I'm not intending for this to be like a long drawn out video. I just wanted just to be like a pretty quick video, just showing you some of the swaps that I've made and the reasons why. One thing that I didn't cover is cleaning products. And so I'm pretty much kind of running out of cleaning products, which is one of the reasons why I didn't show you that part. But another swap that I made was cleaning products, trying to avoid products that had unnecessary chemicals and artificial fragrance. These things that I just did not want stuck onto the plates and the dishware and the spoons and whatnot that we are using. I wanted to make sure that any because you know, sometimes like there's like this coating, this like film that can stay on plates and on cups and whatnot. Sometimes you think that things are fully clean and that's not necessarily the case. And so I basically just wanted to avoid using anything that could further add to kind of like any health concerns or any concerns when it comes to my non-toxic journey, but also being mindful that cleaning products, right, they tend to release these volatile organic compounds into the air called VOCs. And these things many times are in the air and you don't even realize it. And they're endocrine disruptors. They disrupt your hormonal system. And there's just some other concerns connected to them. And also, there was a study that I read once that was showing a link between cleaning products and kids with asthma. I didn't want anything floating in my air that I was not aware of, right? And thinking that things are safe, but now you have family members with allergy issues or wheezing or asthma attacks or whatnot. Like I didn't want anything like that, and so cleaning products and cleaning supplies was another necessary swap that we ended up making. Now my house does have air filters. I have one in the living room that covers the downstairs area, and I also have one in one of the bedrooms upstairs. And so that tends to pull these VOCs, these organic compounds that are in the air. But not having so much of it in the air means my air purifier does less work. And it also just makes me feel comfortable knowing that the air is just cleaner in the house. We spend so much time in the house, especially living on the East Coast and going through these brutal winters. Yeah. We spend a lot of time in the house. So yeah, so these are some of the swaps that I've made in the kitchen just to kind of elevate that part of my life when it comes to health. I hope that was helpful for you, just kind of being able to see some of the changes, and then you can decide how you want to go about making whatever changes that you want to make in your life, how quickly you want to move, what areas you want to tackle, things you may not have thought about. Now, I don't know if I showed everything or covered everything. I mean, obviously I didn't go into like foods and what I keep in the fridge and what I keep in the pantry and stuff like that. So, I mean, if you were to be interested in something like that, that could be a separate video. But when it comes to the kitchen, I feel like I've made changes where I've covered everything. I've covered food that goes in the fridge, food in the pantry, the containers that they're stored in, the containers of, food that I'm going to be reheating or putting in the freezer or putting in the fridge, cookware, cooking utensils, cleaning products, the water that we're using and that we're drinking. I mean, I feel like I've done everything when it comes to kind of transforming my kitchen to make it safer and to make it healthier. But anyways, if this was helpful, let me know in the comments, and I'll include a link to my Amazon shop for anything that may interest you, or just even any separate links that may be of interest to you, as well as that EWG website for you to go in, put your city zip code, and take a look at the water in the public water in your area. All right, until next time.